Hey, other band directors. So I made this online warm up routine for band for my students, and I just wanted to put it out there in case, I don't know, in case anyone else wants to use it. You're welcome to. I love sharing. Um, just to be clear, I'm not selling anything here. I don't care if you use this or not. And in fact, if you want to use it, but you want to change some things. I put the finale files in there, in the folder with all these pages. Um, there's a folder called X, um, and it's in there as well as the fonts that I used in the finale documents. So feel free to change whatever you like. But so I wanted to make this video to sort of talk through what we're doing here and why we're doing it and why I think it might be a good approach for this semester while we're all online, doing band over Skype, Zoom, or Google Meet, whatever platform you're using. Um, what's clearly not going to work over Zoom or Google Meet is ensemble kind of stuff, like balance and blend. Obviously, we're not going to be working on that right now. We're just not. Um, Even tone is going to be kind of tricky because it all depends on how good the microphone is that you're dealing with, and it's probably not very good. Um, but there are things that we can do. So that's kind of what this is all about. And the approach that I think is going to work best is sort of a back and forth, I play it, now you play it kind of approach. Um, because that way the kids have something to listen to, something to imitate. Um, in the band room, they would listen to each other while we're all playing together, right? Um, and they would imitate each other while we're all playing at the same time. That's not really feasible over Zoom because when everybody plays at once, it just sounds like, you know. Um, so what we need is, instead of trying to imitate the ensemble experience over Zoom, which isn't going to happen anyway, um, instead of trying to imitate, instead of trying to recreate the ensemble experience over Zoom and make everything the same, no, let's take a different approach. This imitation approach. I play, then you play, and kids can really learn that way. And a lot of people teach this way anyway. I mean, that's how we learn language, right? By hearing somebody speak and then we imitate it, right? When we're babies. Um, and a lot of music instructors, even at the college level, this is how they teach. So it does work. This is not like a radical concept or anything. So let's talk about the page here. Um, what do we have here? It's similar in a lot of ways to the fundamentals routine that I've made and I've been using over the years. It's similar, but also different in a lot of ways. So the first thing is a starting note, and this is how I start every day with the kids, is just holding out a low B flat. And this is where we can work on a lot of stuff. Actually, we can work on tone. I'm not sure how that's going to work again over Zoom, but we'll try. Um, Work on tone, work on posture, work on breathing, work on embouchure, um, all that stuff. And it may be hard to do that with everyone playing at once, so we might be, let's all play, okay, stop, now you play, now you play, now you play. You might have to hear them one at a time to really check that stuff. And hey, you need to sit up, don't slouch, right? Um, but this is, so what I would do, maybe I would hold out the note and I'd say, okay, listen for 5 seconds. When I point, then then you play. Okay, so. And then we all play together. The goal, one of the big things with this is holding notes steady. A lot of kids will be all over the place, like, and that's because they're either too tense, or they're wiggling their embouchure, or they're moving inside their mouth, or something, but or all of those, or their air isn't steady. So it's got to be a nice steady note. But anyway, so that's how we'll start. Number 2, this is a great exercise, and I stole this articulation pattern from one of the really big shot high school band directors in our area who did a presentation at our state conference, and this is something that he does with his kids. It's a great routine because it really, like, it just gets you playing correctly, almost in spite of yourself. It really gets you going and makes you better, just by playing it. And it's like, well, 16th notes, hang on, these are 6th graders or 7th graders. They don't know those notes yet. They don't need to know, because they're just gonna imitate you, right? So they can learn this by rote. It's only 2 measures. So I'm gonna play, and then the kids play, and we just go back and forth. So. And then they play just like it's written. And we might do this 4 or 5 times, back and forth. When they're done, I go again. Some kids are going to want to do this. They're going to want to make them staccato, right? Especially the quarter notes. And that's fine as long as you meant to play staccato. The problem is when kids don't know how to sustain the notes, right? So really it's an articulation warm-up, but it's also an airflow warm-up, and it's so great because it gets everything to respond. After you play this 4 or 5 times, things start to really feel good playing the instrument. And then number 3, so this is just a basic long tones exercise, but again, I play, then you play, and it's like, well, man, that's going to take forever. There's a lot of value in having the kids rest as much as they play, especially during the warm-up. Excuse me, because otherwise it's not a warm-up; it's a sprint. Resting as much as they play is really gonna help. You can do this with a metronome. I like to take my time with this. I like to set the metronome to 60. So you want to position your phone as close to the metronome as possible so that they can hear it. Let me see. So, yeah, that looks like it's good and loud. And then so I play, then you play. And again, sustained notes, is it steady? I'm having a hard time holding it steady because my music is too low here. I'm looking on the kitchen counter and I'm not doing a great job of holding things steady. All right, well, let's talk about that. Get a music stand. You need to have your music up at eye level. So anyway, let's talk about the metronome. Because we're over Zoom and Google Meet or whatever, by the time I hear the kids play back at me through my device, they are not going to be synced up with the metronome that I'm hearing live right here in front of me. There's too much of a delay, right? That's okay. I'm not sure that it matters. Ideally, of course, I'd want to be able to hear if they're synced up with the metronome. I don't think that can happen. There's just too much of a delay. What matters is that they hear the metronome, right? They're listening to the metronome come through their device, and they're synced up with it on their end, and just putting it on them. I can't really tell if you're doing this right or not. You have to do this, and encourage them. Maybe tap your foot with the beat. Listen to the metronome while you play. But if it's right on their end, that's all that really matters. It's hard when we can't check and assess if they're doing it correctly, but I don't know. I don't really know a way around that while we're using Zoom and Google Meet. So then this number 4 is just a real simple scale exercise. And again, you can use this to work on articulation. You can change up the articulation. Maybe some days you want to slur this. You don't have to do it. Oh yeah, speaking of which, you don't have to do all these the same way every day. In fact, like number 3, the long tones, one day do the whole thing piano, one day do the whole thing forte. Do it with a crescendo for 4 beats, decrescendo for 4 beats. That's an incredibly good exercise that really helps develop your tone and obviously your dynamic control. So do things differently. Number 4 is a longer exercise that is just working up and down your B flat scale. Teacher plays and then they play, and once they learn it, I wouldn't repeat any of these lines. I just sort of play straight through it. It may take a couple tries when they're first learning it to make sure everyone's really got it right. The clarinet. So there's a normal clarinet page that's the same as everybody else's, but that assumes that they know how to play the notes above the break. Okay. And then there's also a clarinet page that doesn't go above the break, okay? So there's 2 different clarinet pages. There's also the French horn book has some modifications too. Some things are down an octave and stuff like that, especially in the flexibility exercise, which is next. But other than that, it's all unison. The flexibility thing, I don't know that we really need to do a back and forth thing with this. I think we can just sort of all play it at the same time, because it's just, I don't know, it's a physical workout. You could try it. I mean, you could say, okay, teacher's going to play the entire line and then you play the entire line. That doesn't seem important to me. It doesn't seem like it's going to really help to do it that way. I don't know. I don't know. But you see, there's a second line for the clarinet, right? It says flexibility for clarinet. So if they do know their high notes, then they can do that one instead. This is basically it's a brass lip slur, right? But I think it's also really good for woodwinds because it teaches them to move several fingers at once, gets them used to going between their registers and what they need to do with their embouchure and their airflow for that and everything. I think all instruments benefit from this. And of course, there's also a snare drum page with, I think some good stuff that's engaging for them. That's good technique builders and stuff like that. So yeah. Anyway, I guess that's kind of it. I hope this was helpful. And again, take it and make it your own. I gave you the Finale files, so mess around with it. And give me some feedback. Let me know what's working. I haven't really tried this yet with students. I've tried the back and forth thing, but not specifically this material. So I'd love some feedback. Let me know what's working for you and what isn't. I hope it's helpful. I'm happy to share. Yeah, good luck. Let me know how it goes. All right. Bye-bye.